後ろを気ぃつけた方がええな。
古いね。その手は食わないよ。あんたの仲間が教えてくれたぜ。戦闘中に敵から目を離す。
So it is now day 2 of the latest box, Fantastic Arc, and after Burning Abyss, the art type I was looking forward to testing the most was Yang Zing, as to me, of all the art types in the box, including Burning Abyss, I thought this one had the most potential. But there was one little problem. My brain is about the size of an acorn, and this deck probably has one of the highest difficulty learning curves when starting from scratch, with absolutely no prior knowledge of how this shit actually works, at least from my experience. And after playtesting around with a bunch of lists the community had created, I started to hear dial-up noises and came to the conclusion that nah, my 2 brain cells can't handle this many plays. So I discarded all these 25 to 30 card lists, playing around 300 monsters and 42 trap cards, and simplified it down to 20, making the deck a bit more straightforward and easy to understand. Now the reason I'm bringing this up is because although I had a pretty nutty win rate with the list I'm about to show you, this art type can do a fuck ton of stuff, and has a pretty ridiculous amount of combos. So for the people out there who consider themselves intellectuals, once you've messed around with my list and learnt the basic combos of the deck, I 100% recommend exploring other options and trying out other creators' lists, because my list is essentially just a really simplified variant of the deck, and you guys might just have more fun testing out some of the more advanced plays that can be done with the art type. That being said though, if you're complete and utter ooga booga brain like myself, this deck will be much more up your alley. So here's the deck list. Now before I get into the deck list, just a reminder that if you are enjoying any of the content you are watching or find any of it useful, to please show your support in the video and for the creator by dropping a like on the video down below and subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. I make a ton of content every week covering various lists, guides, updates, memes, a lot of memes, and I occasionally run live stream tournaments that anyone can join. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Alright, so there are 4 new Yang Zing monsters in this deck list you guys might not have seen before, 3 in the main and 1 in the extra. The 3 main deck monsters each share an effect of if they are destroyed, you can special summon one other Yang Zing monster from your deck except itself. Darkness is your main starter and tuner. If you control no monsters, you can discard 2 Yang Zing cards from your hand to special summon 2 Yang Zing monsters from deck, one with 0 attack and one with 0 defense. Fire once per turn during your opponent's main phase or battle phase can use itself to synchro summon. The synchro monster will gain an extra 500 attack. Likewise, water can also do the exact same thing, only the synchro monster gains immunity to trap effects instead of the attack boost. Then we have the new boss monster for the art type, Baxia. When this card is synchro summoned, you can target cards on the field up to the number of different original attributes of worm type monsters used for the synchro summon. Shuffle those targets back into the deck. Normally you'll be shuffling 2 to 3 cards back into the deck with this. Once per turn you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it and special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard. The art type also has a trap card, Yang Zing Creation. Once per turn if monster control is destroyed, you may special summon Yang Zing straight from the deck. Other than that, the rest of the cards in the deck are pretty old now, but I'll cover the 2 obscure ones you may not have seen before. Chameleon cannot be normal summoned if you control a level 5 or higher monster. When it is normal summoned, you may special summon 1 monster with 0 defense from the graveyard in defense position, but its effects are negated. So this card has really good synergy with fire, as it has 0 defense, so summoning it will give you a level 8 synchro as it is also a tuner. The other card is Oasis. Target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position, and it becomes a worm. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. When the monster leaves the field, destroy this card. This card actually has quite a lot of synergy with this deck, on top of it just rezzing monsters, as it also turns them into worms, so you can make your Chameleon into a worm to help with Baxia's effect. Also the fact this card destroys monsters when removed actually helps you proc your monster's effects, as you'll see in some of the replays. Alright guys, I'm going to jump straight into the gameplay commentary portion of the video now. Remember, if you are enjoying the video or finding any of the content useful, to please drop a like down below and consider subscribing to the channel whilst you're down there. Enjoy the gameplay. Alright, let's get into it. So as you can see, this deck list win rate was pretty good. I played 10 games of the list and won 7 of them, which even gave me a rank up. I'm almost certain this deck could reach King of Games easily. I already see plenty of lists on DLM that are getting King of Games. I saw one by Luke Tyler earlier today, which is pretty good. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Yang Zing is going to be a really good art type. Whether or not it's good in tournaments is hard to say, as it seems to struggle against particular sorts of removal. Like if Harpies, for example, is currently the best deck in the game, it kind of screws over this deck a lot since this deck relies purely on destruction. Or if your opponent has like a banish removal kind of a deck, it also really fucks with this deck. So whether or not this becomes top tier, I think just depends on what meta we're in at the time. Because this deck certainly is really fucking strong. The float effects just make it so that it's really hard for you to die. If you have any of your monsters on board, if your opponent only has destruction removal, you just won't die that turn. They can't get through you. It will just keep summoning monsters, so we'll see. I have to wait to see if this becomes better relevant. As for ladder play, 110% this deck will easily be a King of Games worthy deck. Honestly, I think it's probably the best deck we got from the latest box, at least for now. Burning Abyss might become better when more support's released for it, but as for now, I think Yang Zing is a bit better than it. Alright, let's get into the replays. So this is my rank up game, so apparently we're going backwards, but that's alright. This guy was playing I don't even know what he was playing, some kind of cancerous trap card deck. Whatever it was a load of complete garbage, but it showed some pretty cool combos, so I wanted to show it off. Alright, so Floodgate Trap was a monster, kind of annoying. So we just summon another one. And swing into it. Activating Treacherous Trapple on our own monster and his monster. This will then give our monster's effect to special summon another monster from deck. Bringing out a level 2. Then we summon our other monster, so we have enough on board to summon our big Baxia. Now, because we used not only this guy's effect, which is increases attack by 500 for the Synchro Summon monster, we also got your monster is immune to trap effects versus a trap card deck. So, for some reason, he let us normal summon this card. He really shouldn't have done that, because that gave us the perfect materials for our big boy, who is now immune to trap card effects. And because we used 3 different types of worm monster to summon him, my opponent just loses 3 types of 3 cards. Yeah, not sure what this deck was doing in Legend. It's a bit interesting. Not that Legend is particularly good, but yeah. So we activated our monster's effect, destroyed our back row card to special summon a monster from the extra deck, from the graveyard, and we had lethal on board. Yeah, so a lot of these games you'll find that Yang Zing monster is actually a OTK combo. As soon as you summon it, if you have any other card just set in the back row or any other monster on board somehow, you just destroy it, special summon your 19 attack, 100 attack monster back from graveyard, and you'll have lethal on board. Alright. And this is what gave me the idea for the intro. This is a very good example of what happens to poor Melodious players. Summoning their monster thinking they're invincible. Immune to destruction effects? Poor guy. Yeah, Harpies are not the only counters to your deck now, guys. There's a new counter in town. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously MST's back row. I noticed a lot of people aren't running MSTs in their variants of Yang Zing. If your deck is heavily reliant on Darkness as being like your opening play and you're running multiple Darkness, I highly recommend running back row removal. I can understand not running back row removal if you're just running the other guys and you're hoping to float more and rely on a bit of slower play and run some more back row. But if you're trying to do like combo stuff with this guy, you really need to get rid of back row. Otherwise, you're going to be summoning a monster with like 0 attack and it'll do nothing because they'll negate it or they'll, I don't know, floodgate it or something. It's just better to have some back row removal if you're relying on this guy. Alright, Darkness. Now keep in mind, Darkness can actually discard any Yang Zing card, not just monsters, so we get rid of both of our trap cards and summon our 2 boys from deck. Same synchro monster you saw before. Again, 500 attack, can return 3 cards. And once again showing you that we can just set a card, activate the effect, tribute it, bring back the 1900 attack boy, and he's dead on board. Baxia is actually such an insane monster. It does take quite a lot of cards to summon it. It is technically a... Well, it's one card... How do you even say it? It's not you don't say 3 card combo, because you just need to have 2 other Yang Zings in his hand. So it's like a... I don't know what it is. A 1.5 card combo or something? I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Normally when you talk about cards like that, the 0.5 means like it's the one card, then one other card that is not specific. So I guess this counts as like a 2 card combo, because you're doing 1.5 plus 0.5. I don't know what I'm saying. I probably sound completely ridiculous to anyone that has no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, moving on. Alright, this guy was playing Melodious as well. Unfortunately, this is nowhere near as good of a replay as the other one. All it shows is that I had a nasty brick hand, and we still managed to, you know, beat our opponent to death. He summons a Maestro, adds his hand trap back to hand. Shows our Doggo. Doggo then Spirit summons a one back from deck. Then MST one of the back row. Book of Moon's our monster, we don't care, we just put it face up again. Activate Oasis, special summon a card from graveyard to synchro summon into Slash. Then we activate a trap card, bringing back one of our monsters, and returning his monster to hand. Unfortunately he had Super Team, but we already knew that. Beat over his monster. Swings in, activates hand trap, destroys our monster. But we're not too fast. We have a Chameleon still in hand, so we can synchro summon straight into our Baxia. Return the card back to deck. I noticed he had no activatables here, so I'm quite happy to just destroy our back row and go for the same OTK we just saw. Yeah, so I include that replay because it just shows that bricks with this deck generally aren't too bad. Your deck shouldn't brick if you draw just any Yang Zing monster, because as soon as they destroy it, you bring out another one and you just keep floating into more and more monsters. So as long as you draw any Yang Zing monster, you shouldn't brick. In this case, we didn't draw any of them at the start, but thankfully we then top decked one of any of them. So that's also another good showing of like why this deck might actually have a good chance of being top tier, because it's just really hard to brick with it. It's just like hyper consistent just because you just need to draw any of your Yang Zing monsters and you just have an opening play. Like legit, the only weakness to the deck is obviously other types of removal other than destruction. But against any deck that is destruction removal, it's almost like a counter to it. It's really, I don't know, it's really odd. It feels really weird to play. If you know how to play it and you learn how to play it, it's definitely going to be a strong deck. So thankfully, opponent didn't use any back row on our monster. Even though he had a Book of Moon, so we could have Book of Moon this before we used this effect. But either way, for some reason let us summon our stuff. We're quite happy with that. Oasis, bringing back our level 2. This is because he destroyed our... So I noticed our opponent was going to destroy our Oasis. When this card leaves the field, it destroys the monster that it special summoned. So we activated Oasis, special summoned a monster. He was already destroying it, so it got banished. And because it got banished, our monster destroyed itself, and we could bring something out from deck. So I was talking about during the decklist portion of the video for how Oasis has a lot of synergy with this deck. That's just one of the examples of the synergy it has. Now keep in mind, this card actually has the quick effect kind of thing that TG has, where it can actually synchro summon during my opponent's turn. So at this point, during my opponent's turn, if he summons anything, I can synchro summon straight into Vulcan and return it to hand. Unfortunately for us though, he had a negate. And he also didn't fancy giving me Destiny Draw, so he bopped off the other monster. But we have Oasis, so we can just bring back our boy. Synchro summon straight into Vulcan. Vulcan returning his monster to hand. Your quick effect destroys it in response. Because our Yang Zing died, it's better to summon another one from deck. Because our Yang Zing left the field, sorry. Chameleon, bring back our monster, but he already conceded. Alright, game number 3. Hey, why is it game number 3? Game number 5. Yeah, I can't count, apparently. Not that's any surprise to you. I actually wasn't lying at the start of this video. I do actually have an acorn for a brain. Alright, so it was a Magnet Warrior player. And this is a very good example of a deck that gets highly countered by this, because he may summon his boss monster and have 1 trillion destruction removal. But we're just going to summon 1 trillion monsters in response. So unless they have their field spell out, which allows them to return to hand without destruction, it can be pretty rough for them. So we're going to use Treacherous Trap Hole first, that way that if he won't destroy one of our Oasises. And because we destroyed a monster, we can special summon from deck. He summons his boss, and then starts nuking our stuff. Unfortunately, we already used this guy's effect, so I was just kind of BMing here. I special summoned it back, it gets destroyed, nothing happens. I can do it again, nothing will happen, but why not? Destroys our monster, we summon Darkness from deck. Darkness then dispatches sends the 2 to the graveyard, special summons into Baxia, returning 3 into the deck. Which also means he doesn't get to proc his Berserkion's effect to bring back the boys from the banished pile. And from here, he was just out of resources, so going to use the effect, destroy the back row, special summon our 1900 attack. Not going to proc his Destiny draw because we're not that dumb. Now here I actually could have made another level 6 because I could have destroyed this dude, special summoned the level 2 from the extra deck. Yeah, just special summon this guy back from the extra deck, from the graveyard, and then just summon a level 6 of some kind. But I was worried you have a special summon reviving card, so we weren't gonna run that risk. Alright, and that'll be it for the gameplays for today. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I hope to see you in the next one. There should be more videos and I think a live stream tomorrow. So look forward to that. Thank you guys for watching. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.